Hello, my name is Connor Quinlan, and in this review I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Nikon d5100, which I have here, and the Nikon d3100. Now I don't have both cameras with me, but if you've watched my videos before or followed me, you'll know that I did thorough reviews on the Nikon d3100 and that I actually used the camera in those videos as well. So I do know what I'm talking about with both of these cameras. So what I'm going to do in this video is basically talk about the advantages of each camera and then go over my recommendations. And this video is not necessarily a comparison in order to determine which one's better, because the answer to that is pretty obvious, but more a comparison to help you, the user, decide which camera is best for you to get. So starting with the d5100, we're going to talk about the advantages it has. The first and largest advantage is, of course, its much better high ISO performance. It performs just as well as the D7000 and has the exact same image quality as the D7000, which is better than any DX camera out there right now. Of course, because of that, the dynamic range of this camera is also a lot better, 2.2 full stops better, in fact, and also the color depth is also slightly better with this camera than the D3100. But that's to be expected with the sensor of the D7000 camera. Of course, this camera also, unlike the D3100, has a tilt swivel screen. Not only does it have a really neat tilt swivel screen, but it's also much higher resolution. It's 4 times the resolution of the D3100's LCD screen, and therefore much better for viewing pictures at 100% and looking to see how detailed your images are and how sharp they are. Other than that, a few other things is that this camera has an external mic. That's very useful, especially for those of you who are more into video than photography and they want a camera for video. This camera also is a little bit faster, can shoot 4 frames per second versus 3 frames per second of the other camera, and although it's only 1 frames per second faster, at those slow frame rates you can definitely tell the difference between the two. And then finally, it also has the effects mode, which are basically special filters that you can add to your pictures and to videos, and then also it also has the in-camera HDR mode, which is very useful and works pretty well, just as well as like active D-lighting or something like that. So those are the advantages basically of the d5100. Now I'm going to talk about the advantages of the d3100. Now obviously, since it's a lot cheaper, there aren't that many, and it's older, so it makes sense that there's not a lot that the d3100 has over the d5100. In fact, I think the only things that it has are the fact that it's lighter, smaller, and cheaper to buy. Other than that, the d3100 doesn't have any real features over the d5100 camera. The difference in price between the two is about usually $250 or so. The D5000 or the D3100 usually sells for about $550, probably a little less now that this camera's out. And this camera, body only brand new, sells for about $800. So those are the difference in prices that you're going to see. So really quickly, what I'm going to talk about now is the recommendations, what kind of cameras to go for. Honestly, if you have the money and you can do it, no matter what you shoot, I would definitely go for the d5100 camera, just because it can do so much more and the image quality is so much better for low light images and whatnot. Even the base ISO is a little bit better than the d3100 camera. The color retention and the dynamic range is better, like I said, so that's a really big plus for this camera, and it's good enough reason for me, at least, to spend the extra money and get this camera. The only real reason to get the d3100 over the d5100 is if you really can't afford the d5100 digital camera. Other than that, there's so many cool things that the d5100 can do and so many upgrades to its image quality and whatnot that it's really worth the extra $250 or so to pay for the d5100 camera. And this has been a comparison between the d5100 and the d3100 digital SLRs.